Well, guys, the Los Angeles real estate market continues to amaze. Prices are falling, but I don't expect them to fall for long. Price cuts are growing, but at the same time, so are bidding wars. We're going to try to make sense of it by digging into the data, and the data this week has a dire warning for home sellers and some prescient advice for home buyers. I'm Jon Schwartz of House Hack Los Angeles, and this is the Los Angeles Real Estate Roundup for June 17th, 2024. Let's get into it. And we'll start with median sale price. This is Redfin's weekly data for a median sale price of a home in Los Angeles going all the way back to 2021. And right now, this orange line is 2024. We have reason to rejoice because the median sale price of a home in Los Angeles fell last week from $911,000 to $906,000. We've been at a bit of a plateau for the past month. Median sale price peaked in May at $912,000, fell down to $907,000, back up to $910,000, $911,000, and now back down to $906,000. And as always, the question is, where is pricing going to go for the rest of the summer? Are we going to bounce back up? Or are we going to continue to fall down as the summer proceeds? Now, the big headwind working against us is inventory, and Redfin just reported home sales fell to one of the lowest levels on record in May. And Redfin gives us the three bullet points here at the top. Truly interesting data points. There have been only 2 months in the past decade with fewer home sales. High home prices, elevated mortgage rates, and an ongoing housing shortage are deterring buyers. Secondly, the median U.S. sale price hit a record high in May as demand continued to outpace supply, with the number of homes for sale roughly 25% below pre-pandemic levels, and we'll see that in a visual in a second. But what this means is home sales are way down, not because no one wants to buy a home, but because there aren't any homes to buy. And lastly, about 1 in 5 sellers cut their list price as homes in many areas are sitting on the market. And we're going to see this in Los Angeles. Los Angeles has an unusually high number of price cuts. At the same time, supply is extremely limited. But just to show you what we're looking at on the national level, here's a graph showing home sales going all the way back to April 2012. And as you can see, the level of home sales we've been experiencing recently is on par with way back when. Of course, in 2012, inventory was huge. That's why prices were so low. Now, inventory is tighter than, insert analogy here. And that's why prices are so high. So let's get back to the Los Angeles numbers, take a look at what we're talking about. So now we're looking at homes sold in Los Angeles, and I'm just going to bring up last year and this year so we can get a good comparison. Homes sold this year compared to last year are about even. We had an uptick this week. 1,083 and a half homes were sold this past week. I don't know exactly how we get fractional homes, but that's how Redfin does its metrics. Last week we were at 1,040, so an uptick from 1,040 to 1,080, which is great, but the big picture is this year and last year look almost identical. Looking at new listings, we begin to see how this year is different from last year. We've had more new listings every week of the entire year, and this past week we had a great uptick from 1,455 new listings to 1,486 new listings. And what's important is that this wasn't only an uptick in the absolute number of new listings, but in the year-over-year change from last year, we grew from 12.6% more listings to 13.5% more listings. Now, if we're listing more homes but selling fewer homes, what does that mean? It means that active listings, that's just the number of properties that are currently active on the market, are skyrocketing compared to last year. We started this year at a huge deficit for how many homes are active on the market, and since then, we have shot up to have many more homes on the market than we had last year. However, if you look closely, I want to show you something. We had a uptick in the absolute number of active listings on the market from 13,666 to 13,733, but we actually had a decrease in the year-over-year percent change in active listings on the market from 14.63% to 14.42%. So even though the absolute number of active listings ticked up this past week, the number of active listings relative to last year decreased. And we can see that if we scroll down and look at this year-over-year chart of active listings. You can see we peaked a couple weeks ago when active listings were higher than last year by 14.98%, and since then we've fallen off to 14.6, 14.4. We hope that this is not the high point relative to last year when it comes to active listings. We want active listings to remain high relative to last year so that we can get some price relief. Because again, supply is only half the story. The other half of the story is demand. let's take a look at demand. Rather, we're able to look at supply and demand together when we look at the metric weeks of supply. This tells us how many homes are on the market relative to how quickly homes are being bought. And as you can see, weeks supply has been trending down the past couple weeks. This past week, we went from 13.2 weeks of supply on the market to 12.8. So even though the market is producing more inventory each week than last year, the gain in new inventory is beginning to slide, and buyers are also coming to market more. I mean, it's the summertime. This is when people list, and this is also when people buy. And what we're seeing is that a few more buyers are coming than sellers. That's why weeks of supply is headed south. So judging by weeks of supply, we can expect pricing to remain pretty tight in the coming weeks and months. There is a funny wrinkle to this story, though. We talked about 1 in 5 homes nationally having a price drop. Well, let's take a look at price drops in Los Angeles. As you can see, the percent of active listings with a price drop has been going straight up for about 2 months now. Right now, we're at 4.4% of active listings have a price drop. And if we add previous years to this graph, we can see that we're not quite at 2022's peak. This is when rates popped up to 7%, but the velocity at which price cuts are growing matches this time in 2022. Somewhat ominous. But we kind of need a lot of price drops in this market. Let me show you why. This graph shows the median price of a new listing. And as you can see, we're in a territory that we've never been in before. Right now, the median price of a new listing is $967,222. And remember, the median price of a home sold right now is what, $906,000? So there's a huge delta between where homes are being listed and where homes are being sold. So what gives? Well, this is where we can incorporate some anecdotal evidence to create a narrative about what's happening in the LA market. Okay, so look, anecdotal evidence is evidence that you gather yourself with your own eyes based on your limited field of vision. So for example, if you're driving to work one morning and you get stuck in traffic, you have anecdotal evidence that traffic was bad that morning. And you might get to work and say, hey, traffic was really bad for me. Was it bad for you guys? You talk to your coworkers, maybe none of them had the same experience, so your anecdotal evidence that traffic was bad in Los Angeles that morning is just wrong. Sometimes other people complain about having bad traffic, and then you find out that the president was in town and his motorcade was cutting through the city, and that's why traffic was so bad everywhere. In that situation, the anecdotal evidence holds up, and you have a narrative. There's a reason for it. So I share this analogy to get to a point. Pardon my long-windedness. So here's my anecdotal evidence about what's happening in the market right now. This is what I'm seeing in Los Angeles. Move-in ready, top-tier homes sell way over asking. I participated in a bidding war this past week, 32 offers on a house. I thought my client was going to win it because my client really wanted it and put up a huge offer for this home. And he got beat out, not by one, but by 2 higher offers. So my client is now in second backup position. And the people selling this house, man, they made out like bandits. They bought this house for less than half of what they're selling it for in 2019. That's when they bought. And now in 2024, they're selling the house for more than double what they bought it for. They did do some work on the house, but they did smart work. They added a deck, they added a room, they added a hot tub. The kinds of things that people see and say, ooh, I could enjoy living here. At the same time, homes that aren't quite at that level tend to sit on the market. I've seen some very good homes priced not overly high, but priced at what they probably should sell for. And also not perfect. They're flips and they're good flips, or they're not flips, they're in fine condition, but they need a little bit of work. And these homes might sit for 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks before getting an offer at asking and selling at asking. And in those 4 or 5 weeks, they'll probably cut their price once. And this is what I call the bifurcated Los Angeles housing market. There's the competitive market and the non-competitive market. The competitive market consists of homes that are move-in ready and you just love them as soon as you walk inside of them. And those homes get dozens of offers and sell right away well above asking. The non-competitive market are homes that are just outside the box, that have even just a small amount of cosmetic work needed, that have even just a small amount of bad taste in the flip that was done, or in some way are non-conventional, like it's a duplex. And these homes are selling at much more reasonable prices, and they're selling slowly. So if you're thinking about selling your home in 2024, you absolutely have to target the competitive housing market. You want your home to be move-in ready, absolutely good to go, and you price your home conservatively. You price your home at the lowest it could possibly sell for in order to attract more attention. You get the bidding war, your home sells quickly. That's where you want to be if you're a home seller. If you're buying a home in 2024, I'll tell you the competitive market is heartbreaking. It is ruthless. It's extremely expensive. You want to have your eyes peeled for those slightly off perfect homes that everyone is overlooking because the kitchen needs an update, or there's one very old bathroom, or the flipper installed cheap windows. These are all fixable. And the difference between one of these homes listed at $1 million that's not selling and a perfect home listed at $1 million that ends up getting bid up to 1.3, the difference is that as a buyer, you can get into a great home by putting in a little bit of work yourself at a lower price than if you were buying in the competitive market. Anyway, enough of this. If you want to talk further about your home buying or home selling plans in 2024, reach out to me direct, john@hhla.co. Subscribe and hit the bell icon so you can keep up with what's happening in the Los Angeles real estate market, and I'll see you next time.